Is whatever time it is when you're watching this. My name is Jeff, and this is the Versus Live. We're not at Third Way Cafe, our normal host. We do, of course, send them a shout out as always. Matthias, unfortunately, will not be able to join us tonight, but you got me. And we are continuing with where we left off from our stream last week, where we discussed the concept of how can you start to earn a living from writing, specifically from poetry, through non-conventional means. So, for instance, no books, no publications, no tenure track jobs at universities, no winning slam competitions. If you had to make an income from your poetry and you were not able to use any of those means, what would be your strategy? So today I'm going to kind of walk you through one of the techniques that we discussed last time. Was like, hey, maybe what we can do is we can package some social media posts together for a small business. Well, I decided on a small business. Matthias had the idea of maybe approaching larger brands, larger companies that have much larger marketing budgets. But I'm going to show you the approach that I would use. And we're going to kind of walk through the whole process of doing some quick research, getting some ideas, trying to actually generate a post or two, and then see where we go with it. Maybe we even draft the message and send it out to companies. So I'm going to share my screen with you. And as we go through this process, I encourage you to follow along with us. Write down your ideas in the chat or in the comments in the replay. Let us know what your thoughts are. If you have ideas for how you can start taking your own writing to the way to somewhere like financial independence, give me one moment. Let's take a look at this. So one of the things you're going to see is I am actually looking at Third Way, our friendly hosts of our show so often. I'm taking a look at their Instagram page because Third Way Cafe, it's a small business. Okay, they only have they have big plans, but currently they just have the one coffee shop. Okay. And of course, just to promote them as well, you can see what their hours are and things located on the west side. And so this is their Instagram page. So what it's going to do is it's going to give me an idea of what this company is about. What are some of the things that they value? Stylistically, what are some of the things that they're doing on their page that maybe I can tap into and start getting some poem ideas for, or at least some image ideas for as well. Let's begin by just kind of looking at their frequency, because I want to know, like, if they're already posting a lot on their own, then that could be a sign that maybe they already have a team that's doing marketing for them. So that might make my goal a little bit more difficult. But if the posting frequency is less, then that might be something exciting. Be like, hey, look, you guys, I know that on Instagram you're not posting super frequently, so maybe we can package a couple of quick posts together, make some quick poems or quick haikus or something related to what they're doing that they can use. So let's just get an idea what their frequency is. So this one right here, so they just had an open mic, if you guys weren't aware. This one was posted 4 days ago. Okay, so already I'm saying, okay, so they're not posting every day. So we have 4 days ago. This was a week ago. This was 2 weeks ago. And let's see what this one is 3 weeks ago. Okay, so we're looking at about a post a week. Okay, so from my perspective, that's interesting, helpful. So maybe we could, ideally take a look at some of these and try to get something together for, hey, maybe we can help them get a post out every day or 3 days a week or something like that. Okay. Let's now look and see just some of the aesthetics things going on. So it looks like they have a lot of pictures from the shop, which you would expect. We get some drink shots, which you would expect. Oh, so we can see what are some of the things that are videos. Okay, so there's Tim, the owner. Okay. Coffee takeover. What's this video? Okay, it looks like they're doing like the TikTok caption thing. We can see in the background the cafe. You can see their logo. Okay, talk about their events. Mostly, so they have like a board game thing going on. Okay, so we see coffee. We see open mic They have a poetry night thing, so maybe we get some content out for that. And of course, coffee. So let's see. Now, is this from... I wonder if this is just like a stock photo that they found, or a stock photo that they added, or these are own books. Okay, so if it is something that suggests a stock photo, that could be helpful for us, because that means that, hey, maybe we could pull our own stock photos to use for this too, right? Okay. Got some videos. Okay. Videos of the drink and things. Okay. I know my sound turned on, so I'll be curious about sound effects and things. So what we could do is maybe add on some sound to some things and make some short video clips as well. Start with the poetry. Okay, so that's cool that they have that, but how much of that do they have? Okay, and then this was 9 weeks ago. So that one down there was 9 weeks ago. This one was 6 weeks ago. So it looks like they're getting the films out, the reels out. At least the reels of them actually making the food. That's happening 3 to 4 weeks every time. Let's look at their numbers too. So 43, 3 comments, 84, 10 comments. So they like that. 0 comments on Takeover one. Board Game Night got a lot of love. This one got it. Board Game Night again. Okay, so Board Game Nights are getting a lot of engagement for them. The drink one, a couple comments. Board Game Night again, fewer likes, but that time more comments. Okay. Oh, people like this one. Okay. Ooh, but this was from... Oh, of course I posted it. Okay. Interesting. Okay, so getting some ideas. Okay. There's one line. I'm trying to see. This to me doesn't look like Third Way. I mean, maybe it is. I'm trying to think of where this is, though. I don't recognize that space. At their shop. Okay, so they have their actual shop with the snow. So that was obviously from a while ago. Okay, so already getting some ideas. Some shots of coffee, things like that. Okay, so what we're going to do next is we're going to... Let's take some of these photos, because our goal is just to kind of show a sample of what we could do for them. And unfortunately, I don't have any pictures of the shop myself, but this is just to kind of give a quick example. And then if I were doing this for real, what I would probably want to do is I'd want to, go to the business, take some pictures there to serve as the backdrop for the poems or the writing that we're going to do. Okay? So let's just take a couple of these. Board Game Night seemed to be a hit, so I think something related to board games would be helpful. Okay, so I'm gonna steal this one. Let's do... They're just going big on poetry itself, and it's probably appropriate. That's actually my microphone. I recognize that guy. So we're gonna take that one too. Okay. Maybe do one more. We should probably take a coffee one. I think that would make the most sense. This one's touching. It got a lot of engagement. So let's take this one. Okay. So I have my 3 that I want to kind of target, which is great. So now what we're going to do is let's take some of these and we're going to try to write some poems and some pieces and things like that we think would work well for them. Before actually we do that, though, let's actually find out more about their business. Let's find out more about what Third Way is doing. want to get an idea what the business is about. Okay. Ooh, this text for me is a little hard to read. Ooh, this is one that, I can't make that bigger for now. Okay. Okay, so they're doing well. Top 10 coffee shop 4 years in a row. Okay. And about us. So we'll start off with the about us. We're constantly looking for a third way of doing things. How can we be better? How can we love better? Do more together? Do more good? By the community, for the community, pursuing good with the community. Okay, so pursuing good is their phrase. So I might want to try to find a way to tie that in. Okay. It looks like this might be their picture, but that might just be a kind of stock photo of picture that could be helpful. Trying to read more about the about us, but it's not coming up, so I might not be able to do that. Okay. Regardless, getting a general idea. Fine. Okay, so now we have that. Let's actually see if we can start getting some content together. Okay, so it seems like they're about community. They're about kind of that small coffee shop, but also one that's high ranked for coffee in the city. So keeping those in mind. I'm going to show you the program I'm going to use, which is actually more for video editing, but I use it a lot for pictures because it can do a lot of the things that we're going to need. Okay, so this is the program that I use. There's plenty of free ones out there too. So for instance, like Canva is a popular one. You can use pretty much any video editing software and actually use it for making pictures. There's like Adobe Express, another option. So let's take a look at, I'm going to add on one of the pictures that we took. Okay. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to make this into a social media post. Okay. So this is just a picture that, again, we took from Thor's website. And let's, I think, again, the goal is to incorporate poetry into this. So I think haiku might be a good medium. It's something that's short. It's something that people can digest very quickly, but that's something that can still leave an emotional impact. And I think that's something that you always want to be considering with your work is you want to ask yourself, what is someone supposed to feel when they're done with our work? How is our reader or our viewer going to feel when they're finished looking or reading or just viewing the content that we put out in front of them? Another thing that's going to be helpful too is trying to see fonts. It looks to me that the font they're using a lot. Interesting. It looks like they're using like a mix of like Bebis and Arial on their website. So we can just use Arial. Safe choice. And because this is, they're all about the kind of the positive vibes, which I appreciate. So we're going to add in some text. That means that we want a haiku that's leaning friendlier, happier, joyful, because we want to try to see if we can capture that. Okay. So I'm going to switch this to Arial. Is it Arial? Looking again. Might not be Arial. Might be Acrobat. Okay, so just playing around with the fonts a little bit, trying to get something that matches what we got. Might actually help. Sometimes you can copy and paste text into Word and it will actually maintain it. I don't think. And sometimes not. It's gonna be. I was checking in Microsoft Word and that was a completely different font, so that's not gonna work. Good question. I'm trying to really get this font right. So that's again something that if you're trying to consider this approach, you want to get as close to what they're doing as possible. Switch to Calibri. Maybe it's Calibri. So I'm going to compare. No, I don't think it's Calibri. I don't think it's as thick as that. Although I think that could work. So again, quick comparisons with their website font. Bold. Doesn't really want to go bold. No. Yeah, I might just have to stick with Acrobat. Okay, so we're going to use Acrobat for now. Something you could do is you could always ask them what their font is using too. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to decide okay, so their phrase is like pursuing good, right? So I'm going to see if I can find a way to incorporate that into the writing that I use. And again, a haiku, I think a key thing with a haiku is, again, usually like a season word. Since this is, we're not expecting our readers to necessarily be poetry experts, so we don't necessarily need the season word. I'd like it to have it, but if it doesn't work out that way, it doesn't work out that way. The key thing is that kind of surprise moment. There's always that aha that comes with a solid haiku. So we're going to try to at least capture that. Okay. And another thing too is we'll try to we need to take the third way logo. I'll show you how you can take a logo and remove it so that way, or make it a transparent file so you can add it to images if you want as you're packaging things together. Okay. And I'm thinking just in terms of like design, I kind of like, you want the coffee to be able to be seen. And so I probably don't want to put the text like right in the middle because that's going to be a little bit distracting for the eye, right? Because your eye's going to be drawn to the middle, but then it's also not going to be paying attention to coffee. Whereas if I put it over here to the side, get a little bit more contrast, right? So you get the 1/3 with the coffee, and then you get the 1/3 here with the pursuing good with the negative space in the middle. Okay. Okay, so something about pursuing good. And again, we want this to be kind of like a cheerful thing. Let's think about things. So right now it's the spring, right? So maybe we can make this a post about something that could happen in spring or just to indicate that season. So it's the time. So what is something that we could say that kind of captures that happy moment? It's spring. We have this concept of pursuing good. Or like I'm thinking like I also want to try to evolve like sensory, something that, again, this is a coffee shop, right? So we want to be trying to tie in the senses in terms of like tastes and smells, like anything that I can evoke more or find ways to draw in the viewer more into the experience, I think is going to have the strongest impact. So the more I can do that, I think the more successful we can make this piece for them. Um, Maybe like espresso beans, or okay, it looks like they're drinking like a cappuccino. Milk and espresso. Scent. Scent of pursuing good. So let's work on this some more. Milk and espresso pursuing good. Together. Milk and espresso pursuing good together. So then we get kind of tie into the cappuccino in their hand. Milk and espresso. Maybe use an ampersand. Just make it a little fancier. We'll see if I can get this all to fit on his shirt. Okay, so milk and espresso pursuing good together. Something like that. Okay. Okay, so the milk and espresso, there's not really a season word, but I like the milk and espresso because that's it ties into the drink that you can see there. It's also the sense of like the duality, right? You have the milk and espresso, you have the lighter clothing from the women, and then the darker clothing for the man. So you have the milk and the espresso in that sort of sense. It's also what's involved in the drinks for the cappuccinos, um, and things like that. So I do think you're getting some duality. Um, the question is going to be placement. Do we want it to go high? Do we want it to go low? And something I'm going to do is I'm going to take this picture and I'm going to conceal or just put a little mask on this part here to make it a little darker. So that way our text pops out a little bit more. Turn down the opacity a bit. So you can see, drop it down a little bit more. Okay, so that way you can see the words a little bit more clearly. Okay, and then compare. So if I take that off, see how that looks? And then if I bring it back, a little easier to read, right? So let's compare that. Okay. Also makes the picture a little bit more dynamic too, I think. Okay. Now, one thing that we want to consider too is just in terms of size. I might have to actually open up a different version of my software. So I have an updated version that will help us do square. So another thing you want to be thinking about is just think about the platform that you want to be targeting. So for instance, right now we're kind of thinking Instagram post, or maybe something that could be shared on Facebook too. So we're dealing with things that could be a little bit more square than rectangle, and that's going to naturally have an impact on how this is going to look. Just give me a moment, and I'm going to switch to a different platform for us. Taking the same picture, just adapting it a little bit. Okay, so let's now share that. Thank you for your patience, everybody. Okay, so again, so this is a one that it's gonna make things a little bit easier for us because over here, what I can do is I can switch it. I'm gonna change it to an Instagram or YouTube post. So let's just kind of redo things a little bit. Okay, so now let's crop this too. So you can see it now has the square. So this is going to give us an idea. Let's see what this will look like in terms of a square. Okay, maybe what I want to do is get more of the hand. Slightly larger. I'm going to see if I can move it a little bit more. Just trying to get a little bit of her hand, just as she's holding it. Okay. So this is what we're looking at for, in general, an Instagram post. Okay. And I'm going to do kind of similar thing to what we mentioned, what we did before. We'll take our rectangle, and make it a little bit more transparent. Okay, we'll need to move that over a little bit. Maybe a little bit too, make it more round. Too dark, right? Okay, I don't want to get too much of the shadow on his hand because that's going to look kind of weird, I think. Okay, now we can get back to our text. So simple text. Okay, and going back to original, what was it? Milk and espresso. Okay, so milk and espresso. Pursuing good together. I might actually want to, I wonder if I can raise up the crop. Not a whole lot. So not a fan. I want to get a little bit more pen. Let's raise the shadow a little bit. don't want to be too much on his hand because I think that looks a little weird. Okay. So let's get this. Take a screenshot of this and kind of just take a look at it. And you guys can let me know what you think. Give me a second. I'm going to show you what this looks like. And then we're going to also talk about some other things that we can do with this. To get some other ideas. Okay, give me a second. I will share. And let me know your thoughts. If you saw this on Instagram, would you at least look at it for a moment? That's kind of the question we need to ask. Okay, so milk and espresso, pursuing good together. Some things I might tweak a little bit. Might just lower that shadow slightly. And also lift it more. I do like that more. Okay. Another thing you do too is you can also highlight. So maybe I want to focus on the cups. Yeah, here we go. I like this more. I do like this more. So again, if you're just joining us, what we're doing is we're trying to take our writing and trying to find other ways to make an income from it. So one of the ways we're doing it is considering maybe making some social media posts for a small company that doesn't have a marketing team. How about that? Yeah, so now I'm going to take the highlight. So the highlight's going to be on the cups. So that's going to stand out. And what I can do is I can raise this up. And then it's also going to allow me to make this a little bit bigger. Okay. Maybe I'll do this. Okay. Cool. Oh, you guys are still seeing. Give me 1 second. I'm going to change my share. I'm going to make a new screenshot. See if you guys like these adjustments that I have made. You can come back and replay and let me know what you guys think. But let us look. Look at this adjustment that I made. And you guys let me know what you think. Okay. This is my new one. So milk and espresso, pursuing good together. So now we've taken the phrase from Third Way, so they're pursuing good, but we've added the milk and espresso, trying to get some food images in there and also some food words because, as soon as people read them and see them, they automatically start putting those flavors into their mind and they can start envisioning it. They can start tasting it. They can start touching it and feeling it just by seeing those words. And I like that. Again, the woman's wearing lighter clothing, the guy's wearing darker clothing, so that also plays with the milk and espresso. The drink that they're drinking, it looks like it's in a cappuccino. So again, a cappuccino is going to have your milk and espresso. And again, the together can refer to the milk and espresso. The together can refer back to the pursuing good. So everything's also tied into the cafe, the coffee shop, Third Way Cafe is tied into their motto. So those are all the things that I'm thinking about. I mean, this could be a whole series, in all honesty. If you have one thing that we could do is we could try to find a bunch of pictures. So, for instance, another picture that we had was for instance, the open mic. So we could do a very similar idea. We can make just a whole little campaign where two things are kind of featured. Let me Let's demonstrate that. Give me a second. I'm going to share. Let's take a look at this. Okay, so one thing that we could do, start to get a theme going. Okay. Get our microphone in the corner. Okay, we can do kind of a similar thing to what we did previously. So we're going to highlight that part. We're going to highlight the mic. The mic we put into a corner. Feather this. But too much there, right? Let's see this. Okay, might make the shadows a little smaller. Okay, so we have our mic. Okay. So again, I want to try to involve some sensory, because I think the more sensory, these poems are really brief, these things are really short. So we need anything that we can do to grab the viewer on multiple levels, especially with regards to the sentences. I think the greater impact that these are going to have potentially. So look an espresso. So like poems and what's another word that would be good? Something that conveys the sounds of a coffee shop. Okay. Maybe like a sip. Poem. Not feeling that. What are the two things? If you guys want to help me out too, let me know. I'm trying to think of some sounds or some words that convey a poem, but also to convey a coffee shop while invoking sensory. So whether sounds that you get in a coffee shop, smells, but also things that you can tie to poetry as well. Also thinking too, just in terms of the drinks that they're making available on these nights as well. Cups, mugs, glass. So maybe trying to think of the names of also different drinks that people could get there. So there's espresso, there's cortados, there's macchiatos. Now, so this is also a case where something that rhymes. If there's a coffee drink that rhymes with poem, that might have some nice sound qualities. Let's look up types of coffee drinks. Types of coffee drinks. What's up to Matthias? Checking in. Hope the graduation is going okay. What's Americano is interesting. I'm trying to think of something I could do tie in with that. Because again, I want to think of something that. What would be the thing that would connect with the poem? Like, what's a sensory image that I can use for poems? I'm looking up names of drinks. Let's go on a journey together. Let's see if this gives us any ideas. Okay. So we're going to look up names of coffee drinks to see if we can find a word that maybe rhymes or has some good sonic qualities that match well with the word poem. What are their drinks? And we want to try to keep it specific to them too. So let's look at their menu. What kind of drinks do they have? I'll be honest, usually when I go there, I just get an espresso. So they have drip. That could be interesting. Drip's a good word. Cappuccino, macchiato, cafe au lait, cortado, mochas, poem, mocha, cold brew. Cold brew. Interesting. London fog. London fog. So now I'm getting some ideas. So cold brew, I like in the sense of like the cold. That's very sensory. But then I think the idea of a London fog, because that's a drink that'll be more tied to them. So I think that's something that actually could work well. London fog. It's like evening poems. Evening poem. London fog. Poems in London fog, pursuing good. Poem, a London fog, pursuing good together, or something like that. Give me a second. Let's. I'm hooked on the cold brew, and I'm hooked on the London fog. Cold brews. Cold brews, warm words, cold brews, hot mics, pursuing good. How about that? Cold brews, hot mics, pursuing good together. So then that contrast to the cold brews, hot mics, pursuing good together. I like that contrast. I might stick with that. Okay, I might also make the thing a little bit darker. Okay, maybe also turn up the feathering if I can. Oh, I can't. Slightly, maybe. All right, so let me know what you think of this. So cold brews, hot mics, pursuing good together. Or what do you think the hot mics, cold brews, pursuing good together? Hot mics, cold brews. I think in terms of sound qualities, I think cold brews actually goes better at the end because it rhymes with pursuing and also together. Hot mics, cold brews, pursuing good together. Cool. So we just made our second one. All right, so give me a moment to save that and we can take a look at it. Guess let me know what you think. Give me a second and I will make that a little bigger for us. So again, what we've been doing is now we have two pictures that are running around a similar theme. So we can make a whole group of these to say, hey, we kind of have a theme that you can use in your social media. Okay, So this would be our picture. So hot mics, cold brews, pursuing good together. I mean, you could even put in details. Again, this is just kind of like a template we could use, but you could put in details about, when is the event happening and things like that. Okay, so we could add that. That's the general idea. I want to show you techniques. So let's say that you need the logo or something like that. Cool. So what's going to be helpful in that case is there's lots of different websites that do this. But what we're going to do firstly is we're going to need the basic logo. See the Third Way Cafe there. So I'm going to take that and I'll show you one quick thing we're going to do to be able to get that logo, and then we're going to be able to put it onto our posts if desired. Just give me 1 second. So the one that I normally use, there's a website called remove.bg. Others. You can copy and paste a picture there. All right, now we have a transparent file, so I can take this and download it. And we're going to add it onto our picture. Give me 1 second. Okay, so this makes it a little smaller. You might be like, but I can't really see that. So let's make it white. So raise brightness. And we'll make this a little smaller. Or bigger. And how about that? Can even adjust a little bit of the light. Try to make that pop a little bit more. Okay, and there we have it. Hot mics, cold brews, pursuing good together. And we can also do that again with our earlier picture too. So just keeping that in the lower third. Okay, so those would be 2 of our social media posts. I like these. I think these look pretty good. We'll cycle through them one final time. Milk and espresso pursuing good together. Hot mics, cold brews pursuing good together. So obviously, it's not like we're necessarily writing whole poems in this case, but I think this is still tying into a lot of the things that you're considering with poems. Is you're trying to evoke emotions and feelings in your reader, and so the one thing I'm really trying to focus on, especially through imagery, sonic qualities, sensory. Okay. Another thing that we can do is we could also make like some GIFs, things like that. So for an idea of that, what you can do is let's imagine that this picture is going to move a little bit. So I'm going to do a pan and zoom. Let's do like a zoom out. First, we make this a little bit longer. Let me try it to like 14. So this is going to start at 8 seconds and then end at 14 seconds. Okay, so this will be like a 6-minute thing. Okay. And so let's choose our starting point. So we're going to start from our microphone. And then we're going to end large. So it's going to make this sort of movement as it goes through. Okay. Just to give you a visual of what it's going to do in the background. And what we're going to do is we're just going to add on the text slowly. And make sure you're using the same fonts. What's our font? We're using Acrobat. So again, I'm not entirely sure which font they're using, but this is just the one that I think works well. Hot mics. And I'm also going to adjust the speed. So this is going to just come up a little faster. So look what happens now. So hot mics. Let's add the cold brews now. Great. Look at this. Hot mics, cold brews. We get our pursuing good. Slightly. So hot mics, cold brews, pursuing good. Might speed it up a little bit or have the text come in a little sooner. All right, so let's take a look at this. Mics, cold brews, pursuing good together. And then we can add in that third way, and we can even make that kind of do a similar thing. I can make this fade in as well. Or maybe I'll have that come in at the end. Let's check this. School brews pursuing good together. Throwaway cafe coming in at the end. How about that? How about that? Look at us making some social media posts through the power of poetry. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to save all of that as a GIF. We can save that as a video file too, but I want to show you what that would look like as a GIF. So call this our third way GIF. It's a 6-second file. You could use GIFs for instance, on YouTube, if you have like community posts, you could put them there. Also, of course, post GIFs. I don't know if they work on Instagram, but you can use it on Facebook. So give me a moment, and I'm going to show you what that GIF now looks like. Cool. All right, give me a second to present. Cool, and now I'll just kind of cycle through. Cool. So that is our GIF that we just made. And again, we could also save that as a video file as well, if we chose to, and add some sound. Okay, so that just gives you kind of a quick idea of some of the things that we could do to incorporate some writing skills. We made 3 posts just right there. So we have the GIF, and then we have the 2 picture files. I would say, hey, maybe try to make, if I were actually reaching out to companies, I would maybe make like 4 pieces of content that they could use. So for instance, maybe I'd make a GIF of that first one as well that we had. And I'd maybe try to do the same for maybe 1 or 2 more posts and just reach out to a company and say, hey, we really like what you're doing. Here are just some ideas that I thought would be cool because I noticed on your Instagram page you haven't been doing a whole lot. So here are just some posts that might be you might be using on your social media for free. I'd love to make more for you. If that sounds like something that you'd be interested in, I'd be happy to charge a reasonable rate that we could discuss and kind of go from there. But yeah, so those are my quick thoughts. Feel free to start making your own. Start reaching out to companies. Start doing research. Find some companies that you think would be a good fit for doing something like this, and let us know how it goes. But yeah, thank you guys so much for joining me tonight as we made these. Hope you guys have a good day, good night, good afternoon, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.